Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of The Mercy. Now if you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and as always my videos this review may include spoilers so you have now been warned. What an incredibly sad and heartbreaking story The Mercy is. This film really affected me at the end. I left the cinema with a heavy heart. You know when you get that really dull sadness that kind of just stays there for a while? That's what I had when I left the cinema after leaving this movie. It was just so sad and heartbreaking, and for everybody involved in the story really. Not most importantly like Donald and his family. Yeah, just a really heartbreaking and sad story. An incredible story nonetheless, but still a very sad story. I think my favourite point of this movie is a total given that this movie is headed up by Colin Firth and Rachel Weisz. Their performances in this movie are both outstanding. I think, for me, it's my favourite Colin Firth performance. I think probably better than the King's Speech for me. I think he was incredible in this movie. He had to carry the movie a lot and not do it just by acting, if that makes sense. He had to be Donald on that boat alone, and his facial expressions, there was like really great moments. He did a lot of great stuff with his eyes. It was just a well-rounded performance from Colin Firth. Rachel Weisz was nothing to sniff at either. She was brilliant as the widowed Mrs. Crowburn. A really strong performance from those two in this movie. And another really good thing about this movie is that it portrayed the decay and the sanity of Donald Coburn's mind so perfectly. From right from the very off, from the moment he set on this boat, you knew he was doomed, and they did that really well with all of the little camera techniques. Now, all of this doesn't really come into fruition until around the film's final act. I think it's when he's out at sea at night, and like he can see the moon. The moon is really bright, and that's when he starts to really slip away. And they did that so well with little like nuances of sound. You could hear like little rattlings and tinglings going on throughout the boat. He started to hallucinate a little bit and hear his children. And the camera work in this movie is so incredible. There's so many times they made that little tiny boat, which I knew was going to feel claustrophobic anyway, feel super claustrophobic. And they also did that with the sea really well as well. They used a lot of really high-angled shots, which just made this boat look tiny in the ocean, and it all kind of added to that swirling doubt in Donald's mind and in my own mind that this guy was going to survive and he was going to make it out of this story okay. As I say, it was just all of that sound design, and the film's third act is so well executed, and as I say, that slippery slope he gets on where his mind does start to decay, he starts hallucinating. They just nailed all of that. It just worked so well. I think the only thing that let me down in this movie was that I felt like, although Donald was the main focus and obviously he had such a well-rounded character with Donald and his wife, I felt like a lot of the additional characters fell by the wayside, mostly his children. I really would have liked to have seen a little bit more like dynamic with him and his kids, and then with like the press guy just kind of flitted in and out of the story when it pleased them, just to try and move the story along and add a little bit of exposition. So I felt like there was a lot more relationships that could have been built up and a lot more characters that could have been well-rounded, but obviously they're not the focus of the film. It is the kind of the relationship between Donald and his wife, and more specifically Donald, that we are interested in. So it's not a major factor, it's just something I would have liked to have seen. And again, there was one little thing that I did feel felt very rushed, and that was from Donald kind of announcing he was going to make this journey around the world to him then getting on the boat. I think it took like 20 minutes and we skimmed over a lot of stuff, a lot of his doubts, a lot of how people were going to react to the news. But again, like, although that felt rushed in that moment in time in the movie, as we progressed with the story on the sea, this movie used a lot of flashbacks and it used a lot of that psychology on the boat, and we did see a lot of those scenes then play out as flashbacks and almost as hallucinations within Donald's mind. So again, although it was a negative to start off with, it was actually a positive for how well-rounded and how full circle this story did go. And that is kind of my review for this movie. As I say, I really enjoyed it. It very well might sneak onto one of my favourite movies of the year list. It's really, really depressing and it's really sad. But I really urge you to go and watch this guy's story. And kind of, I'm really intrigued by this story. I want to go and find out more about it after seeing the film. And yeah, it's just a really incredible, but an incredibly sad movie. And yeah, it affected me a lot more than I thought it was going to. Nevertheless, it is still a really enjoyable film. And it was really captivating throughout. For just a story of a man on a boat, it does keep you interested, which was one of my biggest worries, may I say, going into the film, was whether I was going to be bored. I totally and definitely wasn't. So I really do suggest you guys go and check out The Mercy. But if you have already seen The Mercy, then let me know what you thought about it, as always, down in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video and you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Ta-ra.